What is good, everybody? So let's take a look at this third down play call from Pete Carmichael. And excuse the voice, I'm a little sick. But this game against the Rams, man, it was like I just brought myself to watch it. This was just a melting pot of all of the Saints' offensive struggles all year long coming into one, right? You had terrible offensive line play, terrible play calling, you had boneheaded mistakes from the quarterback. It all just came together on this glorious Thursday night against the Rams. But just out of all these plays that I could have picked, I picked this third down. It's third down and 7, as you can see here. The score is still 0-0. This was on the first drive of the football game, and you have a chance to go down the field and score on your opening possession, set the tone for the game. But then you get, like I said, a third down and Pete Carmichael. And, the play call, obviously, as you'll see, isn't the only thing that goes wrong with this play here. Um, but for now, let's ignore the fact that almost every single buddy up front gets beat and almost immediate pressure on the quarterback. Let's pay attention to what's happening with the routes on the fields. So for the Rams, it's going to be man to man coverage, right? Man to man across the board. This is going to be your deep guy, and this guy is going to come down and play any of these crossers or anything like that that you might see on a third down. And what the Saints are doing is, you're going to have Rashid Shaheed up here. It looks like he's going to run a fade up top, and you're going to have Chris Olave run this kind of out route at the sticks. And it looks like that's what Derek Carr is wanting to go with. Either that or up top to Shaheed. I can't really tell. But either way, it's just such a low percentage call. I mean, like I said, you have press man down here. It's going to be really freaking hard for Chris Olave to get open against this with this tight of coverage and with, one, two, three, four, five guys rushing, right? Five guys, anything more than four is a blitz. So this is technically a blitz. Now, it shouldn't be a problem because the Saints are going to leave six guys into protection. So it's six against five. But with the Saints having to slide their protection to Aaron Donald, you end up having three guys blocking two over here, which in turn leaves, your running back having to step up and block a linebacker. But like I said, we'll get into that in a second. Let's keep focused on the routes at hand. So, like I said, fade up here, out up here at the sticks. And then where it gets really just dumb for me is Jawan Johnson and Taysom Hill, the two tight ends on the field. Taysom's just going to run this little crosser, across the field, obviously. And Jawan Johnson is going to kind of run this like, almost like a mesh concept, do the same thing, except he's going to run like a whip route. He's going to return it. And what I don't like about this is, let me press play here. When you do that, it leaves two guys in the exact same area of the field with, one, two, three defenders. So you're essentially taking out any backside read that Derek Carr might be able to make because of the route that you put on the field, the route concepts you put on the field. And like I said, ignore the fact he's under pressure. Let's pretend he's not. And let's pretend he, sees this isn't going to get open. I mean, these guys are plastered, right? They got good leverage on the receivers. These guys, they're not going to get open. So let's pretend that there is no pressure and Derek Carr needs to read something on the backside. Well, how is he going to do that when you put two guys in the same spot on the field? And I can understand if this is, more like a traditional mesh play where Taysom keeps running, Jawan keeps running, and they get clear of each other, right? Well, no, because you can see Jawan right here is almost going to, return the route so that they're almost staying right on top of each other. And I mean, see how they kind of, it was meant for Jawan to return, and by that time Derek Carr is, sacked or whatever. But even if he did have time to come back to the backside, I mean, where are you going to throw it? I mean, this is just like, I don't understand this at all. Like, where do you want the guy to throw it? And, even like something like this pre snap, and like I said, if I were to guess, I would think that they were maybe looking for Olave here on this out, but, pre snap, you see this press man to man. I mean, Olave gets jammed at the line of scrimmage. He's not the biggest receiver in the world. So I don't like that that's the primary read anyway. And again, maybe he was looking for Rashid Shaheed up top. I don't know for sure. But either way, I don't like that being the primary read. Either way that goes. But then again, like I explained on the backside, I mean, you're just giving the quarterback nothing, right? You're giving the quarterback. It'd be different, like I said, if Jawan were to keep running and Taysom keep running, just mesh, right? But no, you know, Jawan runs this little return route, and it ends up with Taysom and Jawan Johnson mirroring each other, just taking these three defenders versus two Saints receivers. There's just virtually no chance to complete any type of pass on this play on a huge third down on the opening possession of the game. And here's what I mean, protection wise. Like obviously the guy you got to account for, Aaron Donald, right? By far. So the Saints are going to slide their line to the left. So you're going to have one, two, three. The objective is to get two bodies on Aaron Donald. And like I said, when you do that, since the Rams are bringing five, that's going to leave Ruiz one on one, Landon Young one on one, and Jamal Williams is going to have to step up and take this linebacker right here. And you can see, I mean, Ruiz gets beat badly right there, and also does Jamal Williams. Right now, you could argue Jamal Williams does a good enough job for the task at hand, but with Ruiz getting beat badly and Aaron Donald over there almost still beating the double team, that dude is just insane. All these years later, he is still just as good as ever. And I'd say the only guy that actually won his rep cleanly on this play was Andrew Speed over there on the left tackle. Nice rep against number 0 there, putting him in the dirt. Landon Young on the other side. I mean, he gets thrown to the ground, but you could argue that he lasts long enough, I guess. But even if you can ignore, the abysmal offensive line play, the protection play, the play call was horrendous, and you pair that with the protection here, and it's all bad. And it's just like I said, this whole entire game was just like a melting pot of all the offensive woes the Saints have had all year, and it showed. Saints got beat pretty badly despite the final score. And this is a little off topic, but the future of the Saints offensive line, man, they have some serious, serious needs. It's right up there with defensive line in my opinion. But man, like, left tackle Andrew Speed has really done a better job, I think, than any of us expected him to do. Stepping in there at left tackle. Who knows what you do with him, right? You got to figure out what to do with Pete at the end of the year of this contract. Do you keep him around to play left tackle? You have Trevor Penning, who's just basically rotting away on the bench, a first round pick that you gave up, off to get. What do you do there? Left tackle James Hurst, in my opinion, could not be on the field for the Saints next year. He just can't. He doesn't fit what they want to do. He is not a good starting guard. He's a good sixth man, a good swing tackle, a guy that you could plug and play when somebody is injured. But he cannot be starting on the field for the Saints next year, no matter what. Eric McCoy, I still think is a really good center. He has, made some mistakes this year and some bad plays this year that he has not made in years past. Like it's really odd to see. And that brings me back to Doug Marone, the offensive line coach. I think if Dennis Allen is retained, which I think he will be, I think, after getting rid of Pete Carmichael, I think you have to get rid of Doug Marone as well. Bring in somebody else. Um, so I think McCoy, obviously he's good to go. I'm a fan of McCoy. I think he's still really, really good. Cesar Ruiz, obviously signed a contract last this past offseason. The Saints, took a gamble with it, and unfortunately, they have lost that gamble so far. Last year was a career year for Cesar Ruiz. He showed tremendous, tremendous improvement, but unfortunately, he has regressed again this year to, almost as bad as he was his first couple years. So, the Saints lost on that, but hopefully, maybe a new offensive line coach can breathe some life back into him. I don't know, but the Saints definitely, so far at least, have lost on the gamble on that contract. And then over at right tackle, you got Ryan Ramczyk, who has had some knee issues for the past few years now, and it's clear that his days, his best days, are behind him. When he is on the field, he is still, a good right tackle, but nowhere near the elite tackle that he was for so many years for the Saints. So that's another position that man the Saints are just going to have to look at. So really that's at least three positions that the Saints need to look at addressing in the offseason, not counting Ruiz. They just paid him, so Ruiz isn't going anywhere. So that's three positions on the offensive line that the Saints must absolutely address in the offseason. I don't know how they're going to do it with all, the plethora of other needs, but um I'd say just go in order of what needs to be done first. And in my opinion, James Hurst needs to be the first one you address. He cannot be a starter for the Saints next year. Appreciate you guys watching. Peace.